What is up, YouTube? Today we are back with another tier list. I did a vote, which, by the way, if you're not a member, you should join. Even if it's the $1 member, you get access to polls and early videos and stuff, just like you can see here. In a tier list of recovery or disadvantage, disadvantage won by literally one vote. So that's the tier list we're doing today. We're doing a disadvantage tier list. But before we get into it, of course, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and ring that bell. Okay, so we're gonna go with top 5. Top tier. Again, the top 5 has no significant differences between that and the top tier. It's just fun to separate it. I guess really quickly, I also need to explain what disadvantage is in my head. So disadvantage to me is basically you get hit, how likely is it to get back into neutral? So that includes being able to go off stage when you're in disadvantage. It obviously includes getting down from just above someone, and then it includes the general attributes that would help you get off the ledge. Not necessarily only one of those things, but it's kind of all of them in conjunctions, because if you have like a really bad recovery and you have to land on top of someone, but then landing on top of someone's pretty good, you might get ranked more so off of the one you're going to be put in the most often. And yes, recovery does kind of fall into this, but not exactly. I think Robin's disadvantage is solid. The reason for this is, well, it's either here or in rough. Because in my opinion, Robin has like the B-reverse tricks, pretty good descending aerials. You have like Nair and down air, which can be useful in those regards. If you ever get kind of away from someone, you can arc fire, or you can like, charge thunder and throw it, or like force them to respect it, and like jump over you, which isn't exactly what you want to do. The recovery isn't the best, it is exploitable, but it does go far, so you can sometimes just choose to go off stage and then like double jump fair and kind of protect yourself. So yeah, I would say it's not top tier disadvantage, but I think it's overall solid compared to other characters. Snake is a hard one. Snake has a really exploitable low recovery. He doesn't have the best descending aerials because all of them are unsafe on shield no matter how you space them. None of his aerials are safe. So like if Snake hits your shield with any of these moves, you can just like aerial him as most characters. But of course, he has grenade. Frame 1 option. He has C4, which can kind of be annoying if you're like not already under him. So it's a little awkward. The problem with Snake is that he has to put himself in disadvantage because he doesn't have great swinging moves. A lot of the time you hit him, he's just gonna like recover high or go really high and just kind of hope that you don't know how to mess with it. There are ways to mess with Snake, but I think that you have to be really, really good in order to actually abuse Snake's landing. So I'm gonna put it probably at the bottom of top tier, because if you were a character, if any other character had to put themselves in disadvantage as much as Snake does, they wouldn't be winning, and Snake still wins. Fox, low-key, has a really good disadvantage. I don't care what people say. Fox literally is the fastest faller in the game. He has great descending aerials. He has mix-ups. He has a frame to invincible shine for getting out of combos. He has a stall. He can recover high in a lot of instances. He's perfectly fine using his double jump, and it's really, really hard to juggle him because you literally have to stay on the ground in order to juggle Fox because he has an amazing fast fall air dodge. But then if you do that, then you're going to be playing the mix-up of the aerial game, and because his Nair is so safe and his auto-cancel down air is so safe, it's really hard to make that decision correctly as most characters. Literally, when you watch like him versus Spargo at SmashCon, like Spargo tries to keep him in advantage as Cloud, who has an amazing advantage state, and just like gets through it so consistently because of the threat of fast fall air dodge. And like, yeah, can he get hit for it? And is it scary when you do get hit? Yes, but I do think it is much, much, much better than people give it credit for. Let's go with Duck Hunt. Okay, so I think Duck Hunt's disadvantage is not good. I think it's really, really rough. The only thing that Duck Hunt has is Can, which is great for combos, but also it's not like Grenade, where Grenade turns into Shield, which turns into setups with Snake. You know what I'm saying? So frame 1 Can is very good, but at the same time, that's all he has. He's also floaty, doesn't have good descending aerials, he doesn't have something like a C4, so he's just a sitting duck. His recovery isn't good, he can't recover high, he has to recover low with no hitbox and just hope that Can protects him. It's really hard to get out of disadvantage for Duck Hunt in my opinion. His B reverses aren't as good. You can't do like a B reverse side B to get out of this, like no, you're just gonna get hit. Disadvantage and the inability to kill solidly are Duck Hunt's like two biggest weaknesses. Next up we have Wolf. I think Wolf's disadvantage, it's a little interesting, right? I think one really underrated aspect of disadvantages in general is airspeed. Like a character that moves really slow is going to have a worse disadvantage than someone that moves really fast while they're falling. And Wolf's airspeed is one of the highest in the game. I think it's like 5th. He doesn't really have a lot of great options in terms of like getting out of combos or he doesn't have like an extra option. He doesn't have some like magical B reverse thing, because like B reversing laser isn't really good because it's pretty laggy, although it can be useful because he has, again, such high air mobility. But I do think his disadvantage is overall pretty okay, mostly because you have to respect his aerials. So unless you have like a sword specifically, it's a little bit hard to swat at Wolf unless you're willing to take trades, because Wolf's moves are pretty good. It's mostly his airspeed that is really good about him, and then he has the ability to like fast fall air dodge, and because of his high air mobility, if you kind of like are moving in the air and then like air dodge backwards, it's a little hard to cover both because it's going to be a big difference in space. Ice Climbers. Okay, so Ice Climbers honestly have a pretty solid disadvantage. It really depends. They have options that are special, right? Which immediately makes them pretty good. Is every option they have like beatable? Sure, but so is Snake's. Every option of his is beatable, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean that he's bad. Because they have Squall, like with both climbers, they have Squall and they have Blizzard and they have really good aerials, like really good descending aerials in terms of frame data. You need to swap them out, but because of that little bump on Squall, it can be a little bit difficult, or if you mess up and get like down aired or something, then that's going to be really frustrating. So they have a lot of options you do have to contend with. However, of course, when it's just Popo, it's way harder because Squall becomes worse. There's no like chance of up B, his aerials aren't safe anymore. Basically, every single aspect of Ice Climber's disadvantage gets worse. But for the sake of this list, I'm just going to give them the grace. In every other move or like random little tier list, I kind of screw them over. This is just going to be when it's both Ice Climbers. So yes, they're going to be pretty good. I think overall their disadvantage is still worse than Fox's, because Fox has an amazing fast fall air dodge and Ice Climbers do not. Inherently, fast fallers have a really good option in fast fall air dodge because you have to contend with multiple different spacings, and if you overcommit, you're going to get hit for it. So fast fallers are going to get a small artificial bump in my tier list in terms of that, but also floaty characters have more time to make decisions, so it's kind of a pluses and minuses of both, you know what I'm saying? But I think Ice Climber is overall solid disadvantage. Falco has a better disadvantage than Wolf, mostly because his side B doesn't put into free fall. Also, he has a better jump, so jumping at a hit stun will allow him to get out of combos more easily or like out of scary situations. And then because he has a better recovery, he's allowed to use his double jump. Like if you catch Wolf without his double jump, or Wolf tries to double jump out of a combo or a bad situation, then you hit him afterwards, it's really rough. Whereas for Falco, he has a great recovery otherwise, so he's not going to be as scared with that. Same with Fox, right? Like their recoveries are both better than Wolf's by, in my opinion, a bit. So he has a great double jump. He has pretty decent descending aerials because you have down air, which is great, and then down air, even the weak spot, can still be like -10 or something like that. So it's very solid. It's definitely in like the bottom half of the cast, but at the same time, you still have the options of like great double jump, good aerials. He has a frame 3 aerial to mash out of like hit stun, which with Nair, which is pretty solid in my opinion. So yeah, like it's not bad. Palutena's disadvantage is by far the best character we've talked about so far because of one move. Just one move. Teleport. Teleport by itself is better than every single disadvantage that we've talked about so far, because the ability for you to just either teleport edge cancel, teleport and get to the other side of the stage, or teleport and shorten the distance, there is a constant mix-up every single time Palutena does teleport, and it is absolutely absurd. Not only that, but she has great descending aerials because she has Nair if you think the people are going to jump at you. If you get close enough to land, you have fair and back air, which are very good. Of course, you always have the mix-ups. Empty jumping or just falling, you have fast fall air dodge because she's a little bit of a fast faller. Not like a super fast faller, but she is not a slow faller, so she's like definitely in the fast faller category. Bear is ridiculous, so you have to be in front of her the entire time. If you're taking a little too slow to cover like a far teleport, she does jump and auto reticles you. She has so many options. Is it a top 5 disadvantage? Absolutely not. There are characters with much more broken disadvantages, but I think it's really solid and it's really underrated, and that's why Palutena can get back into neutral so many times, is because of like teleport and fair and bear, and you have to respect so much to the point where sometimes you just go, okay, I guess we'll just play neutral because I don't want to mess with it. Next up, we have King K. Rool. I think K. Rool's disadvantage is not good. Well, okay, wait. I have a Pichu bias. Nothing that K. Rool does is safe on shield unless they do perfect everything, because I have a frame 3 out of shield option. That's not necessarily always going to be the case, so I'll at least put him in solid. Or I'm just gonna bump everyone down, actually. So I think that K. Rool obviously does have belly armor. I don't know what frame belly armor starts on something like Nair. Belly armor starts on 6, so it's not a great get out of jail like I'm getting comboed thing, but it is good for just like, I want to land and get my resources back. Sometimes, even if you're gonna get hit for getting your resources back, it is useful to get your resources back. I know Zero Suit players do that a lot with just like, I'm gonna down air, and if they punish me, they punish me, but I'm gonna get my flip jump back and something like that. And K. Rool can do the same thing. Granted, his options aren't as good because it's just double jump but still super big, super easy to combo. I think his recovery is incredibly exploitable. Yes, his crown does have armor, but at the same time, it's not really doing that much because you have a bajillion years of lag and you can just shield the crown and get, like, if you ever do the crown at disadvantage, you're just gonna get hit for crowning because they're just gonna land and grab you or land and time their move. Literally, when I fight against K-Roll again, Pikachu has a really good out of shield option, so it's extra bad. Like, I just hit him in the air and then just like hold shield below him and then just like time stuff to make it so that he can't like empty jump me or empty land grab and something like that. It's really rough for K-Roll to get back into neutral after he gets hit. Like, that's literally the flaw of the character. Greninja. So I think Greninja actually has a really solid disadvantage. So he doesn't have anything crazy in terms of like beer versing and stuff like that, but he does have a great fast fall air dodge because he's a fast faller. He has down air, which is a stall and fall down air that hits shields that you have to spot dodge, or he gets out of disadvantage for free unless you have an amazing full hop and up air like Palu or Cloud or something like that. At the same time, he does have neutral B stalling. He does have a counter. If you give him the space, he can back air. He can turn around in the air to make sure that like you have to be really careful on which ends you are attacking him. Of course, all of his arrows are kind of parryable when he's landing. He also does have the ability to just go off stage because he has a pretty decent recovery. It's exploitable, but again, he has like side B to cover the ledge and stuff like that. So it's a little hard to mess with. He has a couple of options that are very good. It's not the best. Again, he doesn't have like incredibly special options. He doesn't have incredible anything, but it's solid. It's pretty good. Next up via donation is Joker. Joker's disadvantage is the best of the list so far. And I had so many praises to say about Palutena's. Joker has down gun. That's the end of the entire segment. He has down gun. Joker has so many things that you want. He has good air mobility. He has an amazing fast fall. He's one of the only characters that actually gets more of an increase in fall speed with his fast fall than every other character. Most characters, I think, get a 70% or 60% increase in fall speed, whereas Joker gets 90. So he's a little bit not super fast falling, and then he fast falls, and it's just, he plummets to the ground. So he has an amazing fast fall air dodge. He has descending nair and back air. He has gun. He has like gun, like normal gun. If you're like kind of landing away from him, he has landing side B. He has obviously Rebel's Guard and Tetrakarn, so it's scary to swing if you're at high percent. So he has like literally everything. It's not top 5 in my opinion because he doesn't have a get out of jail or get out of disadvantage free option. Like, there are a couple characters that just have better disadvantages, but that doesn't mean that it's not absolutely ridiculous. Maybe it is 5th, but yeah. Next up, Corrin. Corrin is a character that I think has a low solid disadvantage. If you can turn around and get your back to the opponent and then you can back air to land, that's great. But otherwise, it's definitely a no from me. I think it's worse than these characters because Corrin's disadvantage relies heavily on just swinging down. Kind of like what Lucina does, right? They don't have a great fast fall air dodge. They have good aerials, but that's literally all they have. They don't have a mix-up for basically anything unless you're gonna do like a very late pin, but even then I don't think that's super good. It's probably closer to here. The recovery is good but exploitable. You can't really do anything in the air. The counter sucks. The character is literally just like, I have good aerials and that's it. Next up we got Cloud. Cloud's disadvantage is definitely rough. It is by far the worst part about him. Granted, this is mostly because of his recovery. If you're getting juggled, I think Cloud is fine because he has down air drift away, which is pretty good. He has like limit charges. If he has limit, you have incredible airspeed all of a sudden. Unfortunately, the thing about Cloud is because his recovery is so bad, it's really hard to be comfortable using your double jump in disadvantage because if you do and then you get hit, you're going to die. Having a recovery like that makes disadvantage a lot harder because you don't just have the ability to like, oh, I can like get hit without my jump, it's fine. Like, no, you can't as Cloud. So you have to like swing down, you have to up air, you have to fast fall air dodge and get your resources back. Like, you have to make yourself get hit so many times in order to be safe. And granted, sometimes getting hit gets you limit, which isn't the worst thing. And again, if you have limit, then your airspeed gets way better and then you get a way better recovery and stuff like that. But it's just it's a bit rough. Next up is Lynx. I think Link has a top tier disadvantage, mostly because of Nair. And he's a fast faller, so he can do fast fall Nair, fast fall air dodge. So it's kind of like the Fox regard, but also his recovery is much less exploitable than Fox's. He also has bomb. If you have bomb in hand or like you get hit high, you can pluck bomb and then like fall and Z drop it, and it just creates a wall that your opponent has to respect or already be under, in which case then you can just double jump to the other side of your bomb and then like blow up the bomb. They have to respect it and then you land. I think it's really, really hard to keep Link in disadvantage unless you're going to be perfectly parrying every single Nair, it's just really hard. Also, his recovery goes far because you have bomb recovery, and then of course like he can just kind of like when he's high like throw boomerang and just have it like trail eventually back down to just have another aspect of that. You know what I'm saying? He has a Beerverse. Bomb is ridiculous and helps a lot. And then of course he has something that you have to respect if you're like any type of death percent, which is down air. So you have to respect down air, you have to respect nair. It can be pretty difficult to juggle and to like keep Link in disadvantage, I think. Sora. I think Sora's disadvantage is overrated. It's probably better than Fox's, but not by much. His moves aren't particularly safe. I lied. Nair's -6. Actually, I'm still gonna put it here. I don't think it's like super solid, but Sora does have some ridiculous stuff. His down air is like +5 or something like that if you do it correctly. Of course, you can whiff punish it, but it is difficult. Nair, you can obviously bounce off shield or not. The not bouncing off of shield, assuming you don't do it perfectly, is gonna be -8 or -9 because you definitely want to swing it earlier to dissuade someone from jumping at you. But at the same time, the bounces aren't safe because you can always just jump and hit him for it. But if you do get the good fast fall that, it's really good. Again, a knock against him is the fact that he's floaty, so his fast fall air dodge is not particularly good. You're not really worried about anything else if he fast falls. You're worried about like air dodge and then like nair, but that's it. And again, you have a lot of time to react to those type of things because he's floaty. It's not like you have to make a decision like at top full hop height with Fox. Also, side B is punishable, so it's not exactly a good get out of disadvantage tool in my opinion because they have to go a horizontal one way and then just kind of wait, and there's enough lag for most decently speeded characters to hit him for it. I think it's pretty easy to keep Sora in disadvantage. It's just, you might not kill him, but you're gonna deal him 100 because he'll eventually make it back to the stage unless you're like an amazing edgeguarding character. Kazuya Mishima. I think Kazuya's disadvantage is better than people give it credit for. I don't think it's super bad, but I do think it is fine. Because he has armor on down B. Down B is like his saving grace. If he did not have down B, it would be a really bad disadvantage. Armor on frame 4, which is a bit ridiculous. I think his disadvantage is pretty good because you have that, you have nair, you have his double jump arrows, which kind of make his movement different. He can recover without a double jump, even if it's a little bit exploitive. He has laser to stall, but that's not exactly good because you can just land and then be in that position again. He doesn't have a great fast fall air dodge, but really just like being able to land and then just like guessing the timing for down B is really obnoxious, and that alone gives them a better like disadvantage than most of these 4 characters. I would be down to put them in this tier, but I just, I think Kazuya's disadvantage is better than people give it credit for. Random character, Ganondorf, one of the worst disadvantages in the game. Somehow the worst thing about him. He doesn't have good landing aerials. He can't recover. His double jump sucks. Everything about this character, unless like you're letting them land with a like forward air or something, is really bad. Ganon is obviously one of the worst disadvantages in the game. Literally probably the worst overall disadvantage in the game because at least Little Mac has like a counter and like a frame 1 up B and stuff like that. Ganondorf does not. Zelda's disadvantage is trash. I think it's not that bad, but it's the worst one we've talked about so far. Literally all Zelda has is neutral B. Armor is really good, and it also command grabs, and it also stalls you in the air a little bit. Zelda, you're just a sitting duck. If you didn't get hit by the neutral B, you're just gonna get hit. She's incredibly floaty, so she has no fast fall air dodge. She has awful descending aerials, so she can't just aerial you. Her teleport is too slow to actually be good in disadvantage, and I don't think you can shorten it like you can with Palutena. So you're just gonna go far, or like depending on your angle, but like most characters can punish that. See teleport, jump because they're not gonna not go on the ground, and then like move towards like the center of it and then just hit them for it. It's of course really good online. It's crazy online. I can't react to that. I get hit every time. But I'm not talking about online. Because she's so floating, has no good descending arrows, it also means if she's on the ledge, she doesn't really have an option other than just the ground options, which are all beatable because you don't want to like ledge hop neutral B because that's all you really have, and her ledge jump sucks because her being in the air above people sucks. It's really bad to be above people as Zelda. One of the worst like juggle states in the game. Next up is Mii Gunner. I'm basically going to be only using the most popular set with Mii Gunner, which I'm just going to say is the Capitancito set. So you have the bomb, the charge shot, but either way, no matter what, Mii Gunner's disadvantage is solid because you have forward air, a way to turn around in the air regardless of what it is. Their recovery is pretty solid. They don't have a great fast fall air dodge, but again, because they have projectiles and things like charge shot, or in some instances the smoke grenade, you can cover areas really well and then recover off of it. You also have the ability to turn around in the air with whatever neutral B you have, or the grenade down B, and then just whoosh away. It's really hard to keep this character in disadvantage. Is it a little easier to keep them off the ledge? Or like to ledge trap them? Yes. But I think most of these characters gonna get like ledge trapping. Everyone gets ledge trapped unless you're like the top 5 or 7 characters. So it's a little rough to get edge trapped, but I think edge trapping is just really bad for the majority of characters. I definitely think that Mii Gunner's disadvantage is like pretty good. Incineroar. he has the tools, but it's definitely still down here. He doesn't really have good descending aerials. He has Revenge, which again is good, but again, Revenge is in my opinion like a worse disadvantage tool than like Kazuya's down B, because you don't have good descending aerials. That's all you have, right? Whereas Kazuya, you kind of have to like worry about him air dodging or doing like landing because you're scared of what happens when it gets back into neutral like 100%. And also he has better airspeed than Incineroar, but Incineroar has like nowhere he's gonna go. You know he's either gonna side B, he's gonna nair, or he's going to air dodge, and like that's literally all he can do. He also has an exploitable recovery, so if you use your double jump at disadvantage and then get hit, you're going to just die because your recovery gets hit. And I know, again, this isn't the recovery video, and that's a little bit more of a specific one, but yeah, I think Incineroar's disadvantage it's rough. It's probably more like down here. Next up, we have Hero. I think Hero's disadvantage is pretty solid. Mostly because you have the option of B reversing your neutral B, throwing it if it's big, and then of course you have always the ability to get zoom. It doesn't matter how many resources he has, you might always just get zoom when you're off stage and be fine. You can also have Acceleratle, so it really depends obviously on what buffs he has and stuff like that. But I think the neutral B is really, really good, and then you have to be right under him in order to kind of mess with that. And then if you are right under him, then he still has things like Nair and back air, which are a little bit hard to deal with. If he has like any buffs, then like that's gonna chunk your shield damage a lot, and then your shield's gonna break. I'm sure y'all have seen me play Kabi. It's not that easy to disadvantage Hero. It's not like, I don't think it's a great disadvantage. If you watch Akka, he uses neutral B so effectively because he just always tries to get the big neutral B, so that way you can't just juggle him for free, because he might just like accidentally B reverse and kill you at 70, which like, yeah, it's a lot of MP, but it's always fine, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's solid. I don't think it's like top tier, because you're not always gonna get zoom, you're not always gonna have these things, and otherwise you're just kind of a weird, less floaty sword character, which already makes it better than like Robin or Lucino or something like that. But yeah, I think it's still solid as hell. Next up, we have Diddy Kong. So listen, at top level, I think Diddy's disadvantage is a little bit exploitable, but it's broken. You hit Diddy anywhere in the corner, monkey flip. He has like the highest airspeed in the game when he has monkey flip, because also for some reason it doesn't stop when the move is over. He has B reverses, he has B reverse cancels, he has banana, which he can just pluck, grab, kind of like what I said with Link's Bomb. It's like you can pluck banana and then just go behind it because you're gonna have a falling hitbox. You have great descending aerials in terms of back air and neutral air. You have a good up B, right, that you can either use to like, have barrel spawn, you're at the corner and you just want to be like, I want to be in the center, and it's so hard to deal with unless you're very, very ready for it. Yeah, one of the best things about Diddy Kong is his disadvantage. Next up is Wario. Probably the only character without an absurdly broken single option to be in top 5. He might be 6th. Wario's disadvantage is fucking amazing. The amount of times that Gluto gets hit and takes more than 60 is like almost 0. Not only is his airspeed amazing, just his pure speed. He's one of the characters with the best air control in the game, so he's constantly just drifting in and out of where he wants to be, which makes it so difficult to pin him down, because between the combination of fast fall air dodge, just like moving and then nairing, not sure, being like kind of moving forward and then falling, just being like zip or zip, it's ridiculous. Also, he has side B, so he doesn't need jump to recover, so he can always use his jump. His disadvantage is absolutely absurd. It is so hard to pin this character down. It's so hard. Like, neutral air dodge and drift is actually absurdly broken for Wario. Like, it's so stupid. And because he has amazing airspeed, you have to respect like he double jumps and you're just like, oh, you might go from like to half stage or the ledge, and you have to guess because he can constantly just be like, whoop, never mind. Puff. I think Puff has a solid disadvantage. Having multiple jumps is it's an inherently good thing because you have more resources than other characters. However, she's so floaty to the point where it's actually very easy to keep her in disadvantage. The only saving grace that Puff has in terms of disadvantage is she can go off stage, ledge hop pound, and that's going to be a good option, right? But otherwise, I think like that's the bad thing about Puff. It's not her neutral, it's not being kept out. It's you hit her once and just keep her above you and just like swing at her, because she doesn't have good descending aerials, although she does have like down air, which can be risky to like mess with because of rest, but it's not very big. You can swing at Puff, and if they double jump, you're still below them. They're so floated that even if they air dodge, you're probably still going to hit them. I think it's like by far her worst attribute, because you can just keep her in the air and just kind of harass her and like, oh, you're like grabbed the ledge, cool, you're not really great at getting off the ledge, so you just keep messing with Puff. And another character, Marth. I think that Marth and Lucina's disadvantage, because it's the same, I think they're solid, right? I don't think they're super great. Of course, the amazing thing about this character in terms of disadvantage, getting auto combos and stuff, is up B. Up B is really good. It's frame 1 invincible, but of course it is risky, right? So if you're wrong, it's really bad. However, they do have Sword, and their air mobility is pretty decent. If they have the ability to like be above you, and they can kind of like drift to one side and like swat people away, which again, I do think it's on the lower end of solid. It's still definitely the bottom half of the course, or of the game. I don't know why I said course, I was thinking Mario Kart. I personally think that it's their worst attribute, Marth and Lucina's, but their other stuff is so solid that it almost doesn't matter. Mostly talking about Lucina. Don't try to trick me into saying, well, you said his stuff is really solid, Marth. I'm just gonna put Lucina higher because it's funny. Actually, in disadvantage, Marth is actually scarier because his tipper down air forward smash is more threatening. So I'll actually put Marth above Lucina definitively. They don't have great drift in terms of like air control, even though they have decent airspeed. And again, I think their floatiness is a really, really big problem because it means that there's something like ledge jump isn't great. I think it's really easy to edge trap this character. I think it's solid. I don't think it's very, very good, but I think it's solid. Lucario. So actually, I think Lucario has a really solid disadvantage. I think his down air is great for disadvantage as well. His nair is incredibly safe, so if he gets close enough to someone's shield, nair is fantastic. And then he has one of the best disadvantage counters in the game. Again, it is punishable, obviously, but like it's not something you can just hit them but it's gonna avoid like you can with like some other like Marth, Lucina, Corrin counters, because like it's just simply too small. Whereas he like teleports to you and like kills you. His airspeed is also very high, so his B reverses are very effective. He has a pretty good recovery that's pretty hard to mess with unless you're literally God. So I think it's actually like really, really, really solid. I think it might be top tier actually. I think it's really hard to mess with, like incredibly hard to mess with. You can if you are like a great advantage character, like if you're one of the best characters in advantage, like Roy or Palu or like Mithra or something like that, but I don't think most characters can keep this character in disadvantage. Mii Sword Fighter. So I'm gonna be using Mii Sword Fighter. I know the main set is Tornado, Chakram, the multi-slash up B. I don't know what he uses for down B. Probably like one of the like capes or something like that. It's okay. He has a better recovery than a lot of other sword characters because the up B is really hard to mess with. And you can also angle that up B and it doesn't really have a ton of lag. If someone swings too early on you, you can just up B them and deal them like 28 or something. It does a ton of damage for no reason. Otherwise, I mean, he has down air, which in my opinion is a pretty solid disadvantage tool. I think it's, you know, less scary than Link's, but in terms of like, I'm just gonna land, you just do it. It's kind of like a cloud down air. But again, because his recovery is overall better than this character, you're gonna have like less of a drawback of if you're wrong, in my opinion. It's like, it's just harder to mess with his hitboxes. And then of course, if he does get the horizontal space, he has fair and back air, which are pretty good at just keeping people away. Like, I don't think it's like incredible, but it's solid. We got the Belmonts. I think the Belmonts have a really bad disadvantage. Really scary for you to use their jump in disadvantage because if they get hit off stage afterwards, they are probably fucked. They don't really have great descending arrows. They literally only have down air or hope that I get enough space, which is really hard because they don't have a lot of air mobility to like do a forward air or something like that, or like land with like a side B or something like that, which isn't good. I think it's by far the worst part about them. And yet down air can be annoying and kind of like bounce them. And I know I said that about Greninja, but Greninja has like a counter that is better and also a fast fall air dodge. I don't think the Belmont's fast fall air dodge is particularly good because what else are you looking for? Like, you're just staying under them, and then if you see them fast fall air dodge, you just get the hit. And then if they don't do that, then you just can shield whatever they do and punish them. They also don't have a fast option to like get out of disadvantage. Like, you're not gonna uppy when you're in disadvantage or like when you're getting comboed. It's not gonna happen. So yeah, I think it's really bad. Next up is Yoshi. Yoshi's disadvantage overall is top tier because he has amazing aspects in every part of it. He has a good recovery that's hard to mess with because of egg, and again, he just has double jump armor. He has frame 1 double jump armor, so he's not gonna get comboed. He can just kind of double jump out of scary situations. The thing is, he has, again, one of the highest air mobilities in the game. I think it is the highest, actually. It's either Yoshi's or Puff that's the highest. You have to be really on top of your toes in order to actually keep this character in disadvantage. Can some characters do it? Yeah, I do it. Sword characters probably do it. He can throw eggs lower to like a soft egg to kind of cover his space. As long as you aren't doing really obvious eggs or really like easy to hit things, like Yoshi's disadvantage is really good. You don't want to not have your double jump when you get hit off stage, which can be scary because you're going to use your double jump so often in disadvantage, but I still think it's really good. Oh, this list is perfectly symmetrical. Let's go. We have Sephiroth. There's two different Sephiroths, right? There is Wing Sephiroth and not Wing Sephiroth. So I'm going to talk about non-Wing Sephiroth first. I think it's solid. He has a scary to mess with counter. He has up B, which can just kind of zip him to like the floor, and he has like multiple angles, so you can't really just cover everything. Great anti-edge trapping because his ledge stalling and his up B. Pretty decent descending aerials if you're not right below him, but if you're right below him, you have to play the 50-50 of like, is he gonna nair, is he gonna side B, so like to like hit my add a shield aerial, or am I gonna get like something like that, which is really, really scary. However, if you include Wing Sephiroth, this hero is going to be Wing Sephiroth. That shit's broken. He has 2 double jumps, he has more airspeed, he's more of a fast faller, so he now has the option of fast fall air dodge, all that stuff, and his moves are safer. If you're Wing Sephiroth, like Wing Sephiroth's disadvantage is cracked. It's so good. Luigi. Luigi's disadvantage is either the best in rough or the worst in solid. This is the worst thing about Luigi, is his disadvantage. Does he have good options with Nair and down B? Yes, but you're basically just hoping your opponent runs into it, or that you're like outplaying them in terms of you using all of your moves like that. If you are getting red for down being and nairing, which every Luigi is capable of getting red like that, they're just gonna die. Their recovery isn't great, their air mobility sucks, they don't have a good fast fall air dodge. When Luigi's above someone, they're just hoping that they time their down B. Hope that you hit them with down B. Again, is that a good option? Yeah. Can you like double jump near the ledge and then down B and then go off the ledge because then you get your invincibility back when you grab the ledge? Sure. That's like all he has. And that one option is not good enough to compensate for the rest of everything that sucks. Mario. Mario's disadvantage is really solid. I don't know if I want to put it in top tier, but in my opinion, this character disadvantage is silly. One of the higher air speeds in the game. He has great air control. He has great landing aerials in terms of downer as a multi-hit. He has cape to stall sometimes, nair, back air, which are both very safe, so it's hard. Like, you have to like constantly be jumping at Mario. The only negative Mario has is his fast fall air dodge isn't fantastic, and he doesn't have any like special resources. So he's kind of just like a normal character, but he's like a good version of a normal character. In my opinion, very solid, like super good. Pokemon Trainer. So Pokemon Trainer, this is actually the only list I'm going to count Pokemon Trainer as a whole, because obviously the 3 characters do have different disadvantages, but because you can cycle them so easily in disadvantage, it's actually just one character, and I'm gonna say that is a solid disadvantage. You know, the problem is compared to other frame 1 escape options like Focus, like Luigi's down B even, it's the easiest to do the wrong thing and try to attack it, and then still hit them for it. There have been a lot of times I've whiffed on a Pokemon Trainer swap and then just like hit my next aerial and been fine because they still got hit. All 3 characters are really, really bad at getting off of the ledge, like incredibly bad at getting off the ledge. It's kind of insane. The swap is good, but at the same time, the swap is just getting you probably to Charizard, who has the best disadvantage of the 3 in my opinion, because you have multiple jumps, big aerials, and then of course you have the threat of just like, I'm gonna fly if you like try to attack me, which is really scary. Or it's like, it's also generally okay to get hit as Charizard because you have just like Flare Blitz to the ledge, right? So you're not really gonna get edge guarded as Charizard unless you already don't have all your resources. I'll put Daisy on the list for once. I always use Peach. I'll use Daisy for once, even though I like Peach more. Their disadvantage is so goddamn good. Float is ridiculous. It's one of those things that like with less resources, Peach and Daisy get a lot worse in terms of their disadvantage, but Float is so fucking stupid, and Side B to the ledge is so ridiculous. Their downer is also absurdly good for literally no reason. Their downer is -6 or 5 and has like no frames of landing lag. It's actually so absurdly good. I would still say Peach is at the bottom of this tier because like if you hit her and she doesn't have float, wow, it's so much worse. It's so much worse. But when you have the resources, it's so good to the point where it doesn't matter, because like you're falling and then someone jumps and you float and then they have to fall and you fall with them and then you just down air away from them and then you're not gonna get punished. Samus. I think Samus's disadvantage is really goddamn good. It used to be like, oh, it's actually so bad because you can just hit bomb. But the problem is, if you're wrong a single time, Samus is landing. She also has charge shot. Bomb is such a stupid tool because a lot of the times, even if you're hitting Samus for using bomb, you're getting hit by that bomb. It's still really, really good. It's incredibly solid and it's obnoxious, right? Like you just have, like she has a good recovery, it goes far, she has a tether, she has great landing aerials if you have the chance to in terms of down air and nair, which are both relatively safe. I think down air is -7 and nair is -4 or something like that. You know, Samus doesn't have great air control, but with bomb she does. So it literally gives a character that doesn't have good air control, great air control. And then if you're wrong, you're gonna get hit and then Samus is gonna land for free. Obviously the threat of Samus's disadvantage is mostly like, oh, if she gets back to the floor, I have to play neutral with this bitch again. And that sucks. I still think it's a really solid disadvantage. I think it's really, really underrated. And then Samus is starting doing better. So now people are like, wow, this is kind of obnoxious. Unless you like are one of the 5 characters that just go like, I don't care. Dark Pit and Pit. Yo, their disadvantage is godlike. Their down B is one of the most absurd moves in the game for disadvantage. It is so hard. It's so hard to hit this character in disadvantage. The only problem I have with their down B is the fact that if you just like jump at it and they down B, you can just wait with them and you just fall with them, and then eventually you grab them if they land with it or something, or you like react to them letting it go and then you double jump aerial them. But they have multiple jumps, they have good descending aerials. Literally, other than fast fall air dodge, their disadvantage is fucking amazing. Down B is so stupid. Down B is so stupid. And of course you have like armor on side B too, great anti-ledge trapping stuff because they just have like ledge hop nair which can auto cancel. It's really good, they're really solid. King Dedede has, I'm gonna say, a solid but bad solid disadvantage. No, is it rough? Might be rough. The thing about DDD is that he has multiple jumps and has a great fast fall air dodge and a couple of good descending aerials in terms of nair and back air. The problem is you can't really do those aerials super high because they're just gonna whiff, right? Or they're gonna be really easy to shield and punish. And also Gordo kind of sucks, so it's not actually a good disadvantage tool. I'm still gonna put them like here. It's still scary, I guess, and multiple jumps are good, and their up B's hard to mess with in terms of if you like put yourself off stage or use your jumps and get hit back off stage. His disadvantage is okay. Krom. So Krom's disadvantage is rough. He does have good air mobility, and he has good landing aerials with fair and nair and back air. Side B reverses and wave bounces, which are also solid. But the problem is, if Krom ever uses his double jump in disadvantage and then he gets hit, he might just die. There's like a 75% chance that if he uses his double jump at all in disadvantage, whether it's to get out of a combo or like to avoid someone, and then he's wrong and gets hit, he might just die. That's gonna bump him down. Unlike Roy. Roy has all of the good things that Krom does, because again, they both are fast fallers, so they have great fast fall air dodge, B reverses and good aerials to descend. But the problem is with Roy is if you hit Roy off stage, he's not necessarily dead unless you hit him really far off stage and he's at like 70 without a double jump. Whereas Krom dies at a lot of percents without double jump, because then he rinse repeat edgeguard him, whereas it's way harder to rinse repeat edgeguard Roy, even with no double jump. Roy's disadvantage is much better. Next up, I think Ness's disadvantage is pretty damn solid. Ness's disadvantage is actually incredibly solid. It's not top tier. He doesn't have like blatantly broken resources, but he has Magnet, which constantly stalls him, which means it's difficult to hit him. He has surprisingly good aerials in terms of disjoint and just like, you know, moving him out of the way. He does have PK Thunder for getting off of the ledge. He has, at any point, if he has access to a platform, he just has double jump PK Fire landing, which is like incredibly hard. Like so hard to mess with. And then he has an amazing air dodge in terms of distance. Like not in terms of like his fast fire dodge kind of sucks, but like you really have to be incredibly disciplined in order to advantage this character because nair, back air, magnet, PK fire all make it really difficult too. Maybe that's my bias, but I feel like I don't see people advantage state this character super hard, which is why all the Nesses do pretty well. Meta Knight. Meta Knight has a top tier disadvantage. It's somewhere up here. I don't know exactly where. But Meta Knight has 5 jumps, good descending aerials. You can fast fire dodge with him and it's pretty effective. And then of course he has down B. Down B by itself is absurd because you have to respect it because it's going to kill you at 70. So you have to like flash shield and try to parry it. And then by that time, you probably don't have enough time to punish it because he actually went super far away because Meta Knight's down B is broken. There's like no flaw of the disadvantage besides the fact that his stuff's a little stubby sometimes. Next up, we have Shulk. Shulk is maybe top 5. I don't know if it's better than Wario's overall, probably. Shulk's disadvantage is absurd. He has the best combo break in the game. He always has a recovery, or almost always has a recovery. He can get out of kill moves, which is unlike any other character in this game. He has jump art. Woo, he zooms across the stage. He has speed art, which also changes his fall speed. He has invincibility when he activates his arts on the ground, which means that like drag down stuff just doesn't work against him. He can get out of combos both by shield art and with smash art at low percents because it's gonna send them too far to combo. It's stupid. If it is top 5, it's the worst top 5 because low key, when you don't have a double jump, it sucks. When I played Shulk, I feel like I got juggled so often. Maybe I just wasn't committing to just like jump art air dodge enough. I'm not sure. But yeah, Shulk's disadvantage is insane. It's so good. No fast aerials, who cares? He doesn't need it. Let's do Pyromithra. Low key, their disadvantage kind of sucks. The only thing that this character has in disadvantage is descending aerials. I think Foresight as a disadvantage tool isn't good. For an advantage tool, for a neutral tool, it's fantastic. For disadvantage, it's not very good. Foresight kills you at the ledge. You basically only have your aerials and your air dodges, which is very simple, very basic, which isn't much better than Marth Lucina, but of course you do have the, swap, which is invincible frame 6. It changes your fall speed, changes your air momentum. But I really think by far the disadvantage is the worst thing about him, or about them. You kind of think about it. If they use their double jump and then get hit without their double jump, they're gonna get edge guarded. Then you're gonna American air dodge, like Cosmos did. It's very okay. Is it better than? No, it's worse than Sephiroth. It's worse than. It's not good. Lucas's disadvantage So the thing about Lucas is he also has Magnet and a good recovery, like Ness. However, his Magnet doesn't stall nearly as well because it has more lag. However, if you get close enough to the ledge, you can alter your momentum with double jump cancel Zair, which means you can be moving forward and just be like Zair backwards, which I think is kind of insane. Lucas, if he gets close enough to the ground, has great descending aerials. His Nair is pretty good for landing, his forward air and up are all fantastic. They're all very, very safe. I think overall, Lucas's disadvantage is good. It's like solid, but it's not like crazy broken. It has been asked, Steve. Steve has one of the best disadvantages in the entire game. In my opinion, it is better than Shulk. Block's fucked up. He has an amazing recovery. He has an amazing descending aerial in terms of down air. He has an amazing burst option in terms of minecart. You have to respect him in a billion different ways, and then he just places a block and then runs to the other side of it and starts mining. Down airing gets your double jump back because you're technically on a platform. Landing on block gets your double jump back. So he's always going to have his resources. Of course, his airspeed isn't super high, and the negative is if he doesn't have iron, disadvantage is actually somewhere around like this area, in my opinion, because like blocks don't do anything because you just keep attacking. It's absurd when he has iron, which he's going to have iron most of the game. Gold power minecart especially, right? Down air, blocks, TNT to kind of like give him a stall, just like whoop, stall. I think it's hard. I think it's really, really hard to hit Steve in his disadvantage, and that's one of the reasons why the character's crazy, because he hits you super hard and then you hit him and you don't hit him super hard unless he has no iron. Pichu, in my opinion, has a low top tier disadvantage. Obviously it is worse than Pikachu's because quick attack is better than agility in basically every way, but also Pichu does have fast fall air dodge because he is a decent fast faller. He has agility, which goes so far through the stage. It's again less threatening because you can just swing a move out and you might just hit it. That's more risky to do against Pikachu because then he can combo you off of it. But overall I think it's really good. He has T-Jolt to help him land. He has a great landing aerial in terms of Nair and in terms of down air. If you know your auto cancel spacings, you have again agility, you have Skull Bash to just go off stage and recover. It's just solid. He has a solid recovery. I mean, he gets 2 frames pretty easily, but it's still solid, you know what I'm saying? Next up is Mega Man. Mega Man has two disadvantage tools and 2 disadvantage tools only, which are down air and leaf shield. But god damn, down air and leaf shield are so good. I don't think it's top tier, but I do think it's in the upper end of solid. If you don't have a way to prevent Mega Man from doing a down air, which is like plus on shield or just incredibly safe in general, or down B, you're screwed. Leaf shield is so good to the point where it doesn't matter. And does he get edge guarded pretty easily? In my opinion, because I play Pikachu, yes. Is that like a big flaw? Sure. Leaf shield, if you literally don't hit him high enough to the point where he can't leaf shield, it's a problem. And that's the only way to actually advantage Mega Man, is to hit him really high, but then if you do, then he has the option to fast fall air dodge because his fast fall air dodge is decent. It's rough. It is rough. Byleth. I think Byleth's disadvantage is okay. Byleth's air drift is not good. It's not fast. He doesn't really control the momentum of his stuff very well, but his landing aerials are fantastic. You have landing Nair, which is fantastic. People still have trouble dealing with Nair. If you kind of respect the Nair, let him move around you, then the like forward air and back air are going to be good for landing as well. His recovery is obviously pretty decent, so you can use your double jump. I think it's the worst part about Byleth for sure, because it's not like it's not like a good double jump. It's not good to like mash any of Byleth's aerials out of like a combo or anything. I don't know, dude. Leo lands so easily. I don't know how. Inkling. I think Inkling actually have pretty solid disadvantage. I think it's like somewhere here. They have really good air mobility. They're pretty fast in the air. They have good descending aerials. And by good descending aerials, I mean splatter shot and back air specifically. Splatter shot just like holds people in shield and can hit them if they're being annoying. And then back air is -2. Very good combination of things. Their recovery is always really solid, even without a double jump. Their double jump, in my opinion, is great. It's not one of the best double jumps in the game, but it's really, really solid. They have roller if they need to for air momentum. Like if they're going this way, they can just roller, which obviously isn't gonna be super great, but if someone already committed to jump in one direction, then roller can really help in those regards. Like I wouldn't say fantastic, I wouldn't say crazy, but like pretty good. Worse than Roy though, because no fast fall air dodge. Ike's disadvantage, in my opinion, is better than Marth and Lucina's. He gets comboed harder, sure. But then he has side B, and side B is actually really, really, really good for landing. Because you have to just respect it unless you're already under him and can hit him for it. And because of that, his recovery is harder to mess with, his disadvantage is harder to mess with, he has more burst options randomly when he's falling, because you just be like, side B. Like even wave bounce side B. So it's really good in terms of that. Captain Falcon. His disadvantage is somewhere in solid, in my opinion. I think it's overall better than Marth and Lucina's. Again, Marth and Lucina have the frame 1 invincible up B, which is obviously incredible. But at the same time, Falcon has fast fall air dodge, and fast fall air dodge is overall more useful. than an up B that's frame 1, which is crazy to me because up B is super punishable, whereas fastball air dodge, at the very least, you get your tools back. Falcon has great landing aerials in terms of down air, in terms of nair. He has Falcon kick as a mix-up, which like obviously isn't super good, but it's useful enough. Fastball air dodge is busted. Next up, we got Mewtwo. Mewtwo's disadvantage is better than Inklings. I don't know if better than Roy. You think it would be lower than this. Obviously, double jump isn't great, right? Because like the whoop, right, similar to Ness's. But so you have side B, which is good to stall. You have down B to get people off of like the ledge trying to ledge trap you. You have teleport, which is amazing. You have pretty good descending aerials in terms of fair and nair. Mostly those two. Or like teleport is a huge deal because it's just a guess, right? And there's almost no lag to it. So we got Zero Suit Samus is next. Clearly top 5. Super clearly top 5. Decent air mobility, decent fastball, pretty good fastball air dodge, not like the best, but like usable. Flip jump, which is the single best disadvantage move in the game. She doesn't have problems getting off the ledge. She has a pretty decent recovery. She has great landing aerials. She has an amazing down air. They have to be like a sword character to beat that. You have an amazing double jump. What doesn't she have? It's broken. It's so stupid. Banjo. So I think Banjo's disadvantage is actually pretty solid. He has neutral B, which can help if people are on the floor because it gives him kind of an angle to recover. Down B obviously stalls, and then he has an item which he can throw down, kind of like what I talked about with Link. When he has Wonder Wing, his disadvantage is probably like up here. But the problem is he doesn't always have Wonder Wing all the time in every stock. I think it's still really solid though. Like I think he has good descending aerials too because he has nair and forward air. He has down B, he has Wonder Wing, he has neutral B, and he has multiple jumps. And he has up B, right? For up B to like, you know, kind of like how Sonics will use this ring sometimes. And he has a bad, but he has a stall and fall. So if someone jumps at you and they're not ready, you just boop. So I am doing a me brawler. I'm gonna use my set because I think that's the correct set. All disrespect to the people that use the other sets. I think me brawler's disadvantage is top tier. He's literally Fox with a better recovery and flip jump. A great landing aerial in terms of nair. His fastball air dodge is amazing. A pretty good recovery. He has shot put to help him recover. He has burning drop kick to recover. A burning drop kick to get off of the ledge. Burning drop kick to just kind of whoosh his way around the stage, which is crazy. So like it's very hard to pin him down because he can just be suddenly halfway across the stage. His disadvantage is really, really good. Like it's hard to juggle him because he can always just fastball air dodge, get hit, and then now he has all his resources back, which again are double jump, flip jump. Because he has those two, then he has access to like a better fastball air dodge because he can like, you know, mix up what he's gonna do. Yeah, it's just crazy. Let's go with DK. DK's disadvantage is you're gonna die. The only saving grace that DK has with his disadvantage is down B, because it's minus like 7 or something like that, or like 5. But I just think that people can just harass you. He doesn't have a good fastball air dodge. He doesn't have any good landing arrows except for down B, but down B's kind of slow and you can't use it high, so it's not like an arrow you can use and then move, or like use and then like fall with it like you can like Palutena or something like that, or even Foxnair or something like that. It's really bad. DK gets hit and just dies. And along the same line with that, Bowser gets hit and dies. I think Bowser's disadvantage is maybe a little bit better than DK's because he has down air and down B, which are a little scarier, and you can like react to people jumping and stuff like that, and down B can help grab the ledge for Bowser. If they're still bad, like Bowser does have B reverse flame breath, which can help a little bit if you're not super ready for it. But again, if you just kind of stay under Bowser and then be ready for the down air down B mix up, you're gonna hit him. He's gonna get hit and die. And also neither of these characters can get off the ledge very well. Yeah, it's not great. It's not good. Let's go with Pac-Man. Pac-Man's disadvantage broken. Pac-Man can always just go off stage when his recovery is the second or best recovery in the game. He has Hydrant to always drop down, so you can't jump at Pac-Man like ever because you're just gonna get hydranted. He has a lot of mix-ups. He has great landing aerials in terms of his nair, his forward air, and his back air. He has, as I mentioned, Hydrant. He has throwing some fruit, depending on what they are, to help him land. You can always go to ledge. It's really good. It's really solid. I hate his disadvantage. Olimar's disadvantage is, in my opinion, solid. It's not top tier, mostly because it's really, really, really hard for Olimar to get off of the ledge. It's really hard for Olimar to get off the ledge, and that's a huge point of disadvantage. However, if Olimar's getting juggled, it is obviously difficult because he has frame 2 whistle, he has up B to change his momentum, he has purple side B if he has a purple. Olimar's disadvantage is pretty good, pretty solid. I don't think it's quite that good. Bayonetta. Bayonetta's disadvantage is really good. It's either the top of top tier or the bottom of top 5, which again, this is just top tier, just extended. Triple jump, up B, normal ABK, downward ABK, which is dab kick, great recovery, witch time, stall and fall. She has so many resources. It's really, really good. I don't know if it's as good as the characters I'm gonna put because they have more variety, and the problem with Bayo is if she doesn't get through or like hit someone for trying to have a disadvantage, like skip the disadvantage phase, she does get hit. Like if someone shields her downward afterburner kick. Now she's gonna have a ton of lag when she lands, as opposed to other characters which are always the same lag. So Bayonetta can, because of that, kind of struggle a little bit. Next up, let's go for Wii Fit Trainer. I think Wii Fit Trainer's disadvantage is solid, mostly because they just go to ledge and do side B, and it's hard to mess with for a lot of characters. They don't have great descending aerials, but again, they have deep breathing to stall, which means that you want to be super aggressive when they're in disadvantage because you don't want them to get deep breathing. They have side B, they have B reverse neutral B stuff, but they can just go to ledge and kind of be a pain in the ass, and going to ledge is really, really good. Like, that's such a strong option for them. They just do it. Let's go with Sonic. Sonic, in my opinion, may have a top 5 disadvantage. He's one of the ones up here. This is just because of homing attack. Homing attack is fucking stupid. He's just in there and just goes, and it's broken. And you can't just spot dodge it because he can just keep charging it and then hit you for it. You have to like run away from it, in which case if he does it the right direction, he just like goes towards the stage and it's fine. The only problem with Sonic's disadvantage is if he doesn't have jump and he's off stage, he has to like up B, but at the same time his up B is really good and it gets him super far and it's invincible at some point. And then it's hard to hit his landing because he has down air, he has his nair, which is really good, and he still has access to air dodge. And his air dodge is really good. Even without his resources, he's still decent, and with his resources, it's fucking absurd because he has side B jump, he has down B jump, everything. Let's go with Young Link. Young Link's disadvantage is pretty solid. I think it's worse than Big Link's because Big Link has a better fastball air dodge, but it's still somewhere like here. He still does have the ability to pluck bomb and throw it down and kind of have a hitbox between you and him. He has B reverse arrow stuff, he has B reverse boomerang stuff, he still has a good down air and good nair, good landing forward air, good landing back air. He also has a Zair. He has a pretty exploitable recovery, which is a little hard, and he's not great in my opinion at getting off of the ledge. But like if you don't respect it correctly, it is still scary, you know what I'm saying? I don't think it's as good as some other characters, but I still think it's a really, really solid disadvantage. And while we're here, let's get the other Toon Link out of the way. I think Toon Link has the worst disadvantage of the 3 because he's floaty. So you have the bomb, you have the everything that I mentioned before. His back air generally going to be slightly less good than Young Link's, but it is a sword. Obviously, he doesn't have as good of a nair for a sword, and because he's floatier, he has a worse fastfall air dodge. So it's basically him, but slower in the air with a fastfall air dodge, but with a better recovery. And yeah, the stall and fall dare is worse than, in my opinion, these dares for Yink and Link. Let's go with Kirby. Kirby is a multi-jump character, kind of like Puff, that doesn't have a super good disadvantage. Actually, a significantly worse disadvantage, in my opinion, than Puff, because Puff has really, really good aerial mobility, and Kirby does not. Kirby is kind of a sitting duck a lot of times when they're going to use their double jumps, and their double jumps aren't going to be as useful for getting around stuff or like scaring people. And yes, while Kirby has an up B, so like the recovery goes further, it's still easy. It's honestly easier to mess with Kirby's up B than it is to mess with Puff's air dodge. It's hard to get off the ledge. It's hard to land as this character because you also don't have good descending arrows and you don't have an amazing air drift to make up for it like Puff does. Because of that, Kirby kind of is bad in disadvantage. I think it's actually like not like really bad. The request is from a boy, Pika. Pika's also in the conversation of being up here. Pikachu has the best recovery of all of these characters. So like there's a lot of times when Pikachu gets hit, you just go off stage and be fine and you have Skull Bash to do so and you still have your Skull Bash. You have Quick Attack, which is one of the single best disadvantage moves in the entire game because you can be above someone. Like not only is it great for like getting off of the ledge and recovering, but like if you're just like floating in the middle of the stage, you can just be like Quick Attack, either like zip zip or 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 zip zip. Like there's so many different angles for Quick Attack to go. Like if you're hitting Pikachu for Quick Attacking, it's because the player is getting obvious more so than Quick Attack is a bad move. It's way better than Pichu's. Also, you have Thunder Jolt to help if there's a wall or if there's just like, you know, like Ledge Hop T-Jolt or Ledge Jump T-Jolt are so good. Definitely one of the best disadvantages in the game. I'm still need to order this part because I'm not 100% sure yet. I'll make that determination a little bit later. But yeah, it's definitely up here in the conversation. And while we're up here in the conversation, let's talk about Sheik. Sheik is also somewhere in this conversation. I'm just gonna put all 8 up here, so I have to order these. Sheik has a great fastball air dodge, great landing aerials, which by the way, Pika also has great landing aerials. Bouncing Fish, which is incredible. Bouncing Fish is a great move. It's worse than Flip Jump and worse than Quick Attack, but it's still really, really good. And then she's a fast faller and has landing needles and has a good double jump and can mash nair out of combos and stuff like that. Also, Pikachu can mash Thunder out of combos, which is crazy. But yeah, Sheik's disadvantage is also incredibly, incredibly solid. Next up, we got Terry Bogard. Terry Bogard's disadvantage is annoyingly solid. So when you go off stage, he has an invincible kind of recovery, at least a partially invincible recovery. He has Crack Shoot, Power Dunk. He also, in my opinion, has really good landing aerials. Mostly Nair. Nair is gonna be the best one. But his disadvantage is, I mean, again, it's not this good, but it's like up here. One thing that's kind of a little bonus for him is his reeling animation. Like the animation when he's like, ow, I got hit, is like really weird. So he gets out of combos by accident without him even having to do anything. It's just kind of the way his animations are. Like, even if you're right and you're like, I'm gonna like shield the power dunk or parry it, you can parry it and be like +1, so he's still safe, and then he spot dodge up tilts. Like, let's go with El Shottos. The Shottos have a decent disadvantage in my opinion. They have focus, frame 1 option. Really good landing aerials in terms of fair and nair. Ken has a better Tatsu in terms of distance if you're like trying to use it to like recover or something. Or, well, no, I think Ryu's is better because it's scarier to mess with his Tatsu. And also he has fireball straight off the ledge, like ledge hop red fireball is way better than Ken's. And also you can use that just as a disadvantage of just like floating fireball, which in my opinion is better for Ryu than Ken. But they're both like basically the same thing. Again, frame 1 option. They're both stupid, but not super stupid. Ridley. I think Ridley's disadvantage is a little rough. He does have multiple jumps and he does have a hard to mess with upbeat. So you don't edge guard him necessarily. He can't get off the ledge worth anything. The only good option he has is ledge hop nair. Sorry, ledge jump nair. That's basically it. His side B is reactable. He doesn't have a good stall and fall, so it's bad. He doesn't have a real way to land other than hopefully someone commits early and then he fastball air dodges through them, but at the same time his fastball air dodge isn't that good. His double jumps aren't good. He doesn't have a good burst option. He doesn't have a way to just like change his momentum super easily. And like if you up being disadvantage to like land, it's not gonna be good at all. So yeah. It's rough. Really, disadvantage seems bad until you see how few characters can effectively mess with his planking, so then just wait. You can just like, he grabs the ledge, you just wait here. And he ledge jumps and you go, okay, cool, and get into like normal landing like area. I better not put Mac in bottom tier. Oh, you bet I'm putting Mac in bottom tier. No, actually, he's actually here. His disadvantage isn't as bad as those characters because he has neutral B. Neutral B has armor. And if you don't have a move that's strong enough to beat the armor, he just lands and then rolls away for free. He has frame 2 nair. He has obviously his counter. If you can't use your double jump at disadvantage ever, because if you do and get hit, you're gonna die because his recovery is still abysmal. But like his juggling state isn't as bad because of neutral B and frame 1 up B to get out of combos and counter. Piranha Plant. I think Piranha Plant's disadvantage is somewhere in okay. Not great descending aerials. You have Patui if you see someone jump at you. You have Patui if you're off stage just to throw it out and chunk someone's shield. You have down B to chunk someone's shield and hopefully they don't just avoid it and hit you for it. His recovery goes far, but it's not great. He doesn't really have great mash out of combo options, but like he's tricky and he has a fast faller, so he has a great fast fall air dodge. So the fast fall air is kind of the saving grace up here. Next up, we got Dr. Mario. Dr. Mario's disadvantage is ass because it's like Mario, but with a worse projectile because Fireball's better than Pill in disadvantage, way worse recovery, and way less air mobility. It's pretty bad. You can mess with him pretty easily because it's not like he has big hitboxes. He doesn't have some scary I'm gonna land on you thing. The only thing you have to look out for is down B because he can like land down B and then rise, and you have to make sure you're not expecting the single hit. But like that's really all you have to do. Like it's crazy to me that Little Mac has a better disadvantage than Dr. Mario. Bad air mobility, bad landing aerials, bad recovery. Let's go with Villager. I think Villager's disadvantage is somewhere in the low end of solid. He has side B, which is helpful because it's just like, boop, it stalls. He has B reverse pocket, which is actually pretty decent, but he's very floaty. He doesn't have great landing aerials. You generally don't want to just like nair fast fall. So you're gonna rely on people just missing and then using your like pocket to time when someone's gonna jump at you. And then if you get close enough to the floor and they are not close enough to you, you just slingshot and kind of deal with it that way. So like he has options, but they're not like great options. Solid enough. Like you're not gonna hit Villager and kill him for the most part, unless you're like either a super top tier or like really, really good. Funnily enough, Isabel's is still worse, but they're comparable. I mean, she doesn't have side B, right? So she doesn't have the ability to just load. Her recovery is, in my opinion, worse because of that. But she does have a better landing nair, in my opinion. But also their stats are pretty similar. So like the air dodges are the same, forward air, back air concepts are the same. You still have pocket. So it's just worse because you don't have the ability to just be like, boop. But if you do have the down B in the floor, it does help a little bit, but that's like a prereq, so I don't know. Bowser Jr. I think Bowser Jr.'s disadvantage is actually pretty hard to mess with because he has cart. Cart is really hard to mess with. You have to be really precise with your aerials or just have really strong aerials in order to beat out cart. Other than that, he has nair. He has a down B, which he can just kind of like jump and throw down B, so it's in the way for edge guarding him. Same with Cannonball, even if Cannonball kind of sucks. He has spin out. He has cart jump. He has just his double jump. He has like down air, which is okay for landing. I think Bowser Jr.'s disadvantage is actually really, really solid. Problem with Bowser Jr. is his neutral kind of sucks. Like that's his biggest flaw, not his disadvantage. I think his disadvantage is absolutely fine. You have to be careful because if you side B and then double jump out of the side B, like jump out of it and then get hit, you don't have it back. But if you don't do that, you just have it back. So you can just go spin out up B. And like it's so hard to mess with that. And if you get hit, you're just like, okay, side B, double jump. Next. We got Rosalina and Luma. I think her disadvantage is pretty bad. It's not in rough. She's really floaty, so she doesn't have a good fast fall air dodge. She has an exploitable recovery. I have no idea how this character gets off the ledge, besides hoping. It might be this bad. I could be wrong. I'm down to be wrong with this one. That's fine. I understand. But it does not seem very good. Rob's disadvantage is top tier, obviously. He has up B and back air and nair. And even though those are all exploitable, people don't. Yet, at the very least. He gets comboed to hell. But like, you're almost never going to edge guard him, and he can always make it back, and he can always go above you and then kind of mix you up. Also, when he's off stage, do like up B and then gyro toss at the ledge, and then it bounces and you grab it, and then you have a similar thing to Young Link and Toon Link when they have like, and Diddy Kong where like, I have an item, throw it down, go to the other side. You also have laser in that regard. So like, he's big, and again, I don't think he's like good, but like, it's good enough. Game & Watch's disadvantage, you know, I'm gonna say it. It's overrated. The problem with Game & Watch is that he doesn't actually have good descending arrows. Is it scary to mess with them? Because you really don't like, they can just pattern over and over again and they just do a bunch, like the same thing over and over again? Yes. Back air isn't super good. As long as you stay in front, or sorry, behind Game & Watch, but close enough to him where he needs to like drift away from you in back air. If he down airs, you're gonna whiff punish it. If he back airs, you can whiff punish it. And you don't wanna get hit by forward air because forward air is the best disadvantage of those three because of the timing weirdness and like it'd be plus and it's a weird, annoying projectile to deal with. He has almost no problem getting off the ledge. So because of that, I'm actually gonna put him up here because his disadvantage off stage isn't really a thing, but it's mostly like down air, back air, all those things are punishable. Like his disadvantage is definitely the worst thing about him because his neutral is solid and his advantage is like f***ed up. Min Min's disadvantage. Min Min's disadvantage is low in solid. It's not as bad, in my opinion, as like Kazuya's, because she has arms, right? Like you have to be close to her to deal with her disadvantage. Also off stage, if you aren't already off stage to punish her, she has like the throw arms and like hit your shield and then recover. She's not actually, no, she's way worse than this. But she does have a tether recovery. She also has a stall and fall, which like, yeah, you might get punished for it, but you're gonna get your resources back, which isn't a bad thing necessarily. I definitely think it's the worst thing about her. The thing about Min Min's disadvantage that isn't that bad is you can mitigate how bad your disadvantage is by making the correct decisions in neutral and staying in the center. But again, if you get hit at the ledge, like you're fucked. You know what I'm saying? I think overall Min Min has like a not good disadvantage. So like, it's definitely, nah, I lied, it's here. So now we have the deal of determining who's actually top 5. So I definitely think Pika, Zersuit, and Steve are top 5. I think also Sonic is. I'm gonna say it's this. I think it's this. All right, let me make sure everything else is fine. And yeah, I think that's gonna be the full list. Let me know if you agree or disagree. I would say this tier is ordered for sure. This tier is loosely ordered, and then this tier, like the more they go down, the less ordered they are. That's going to be it. I hope you all enjoyed. Again, if you become a member, I ask my members what lists they want me to do next. So this was literally because of them. So thank you, members. I appreciate it, and I will see you all next time. Peace.
Pikachu, busted.